Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, I'm Sagar and I'm an incoming PhD student at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss my application that got me into Yale and UIUC, a top 5 ranked school in mechanical engineering in the US. Okay, so I'm going to discuss my credentials, projects, internships, skills, experience, basically whatever there was in my application that made the selection committee think, yeah, he's alright, we can take this guy. So basically we are discussing my resume today, so let's get into it. So first off, let's start with what I consider the most important thing for graduate school application, or rather a PhD application: my research experience. In 2018, towards the end of my second year, I applied to the summer research program of IIT Kanpur called SURGE, Students Undergraduate Research Graduate Excellence. SURGE. I know, the name makes no sense. I'm pretty sure they just wanted the acronym to be SURGE and just put together random words. Anyway, I got into this program and convinced a professor, let's call him Professor A, to let me work with him. So basically how it works is that you go to professors' profiles and then you look at them, and whichever professor you like, you basically go up to them and ask them if they have a project for you. So the project I worked on was in droplet microfluidics. To be more specific, I worked on the project titled Suppression of Coffee Ring Effect in Ferrofluids. So basically how I set up my experiment was, anyway, so after working for about 2 months, I finally finished my project and I even presented a poster on it. So this was my first kind of proper research experience and I kind of enjoyed it. And this was the project that basically built my foundation in research and also helped me get further research opportunities. Okay, so after completing my project, my supervisor decided that the results of this project were good enough that we could write up a research paper on it and submit it to a fluid mechanics conference. So this was great. I was super excited. But the problem was that the deadline was just in 4 days and I had to write a research paper for the first time in my life from scratch and I had no idea how to do it. So that was great. After 2 all-nighters, I finally somehow finished my first draft of the paper and showed it to Professor A. And he filled it with red marks for correction. Amazing. Anyway, somehow I finished the paper. I also had some help from a PhD student and we finally submitted it. And I was super happy about it. So eventually, after a few corrections, our paper finally got accepted and I went to present this paper in a research conference at IIT Bombay in December of 2018. This experience was really amazing and just I got super lucky that things turned out the way they did, because it's always not possible to get a paper out of your first project. So I think this experience and this conference paper really boosted my application, because these kind of things like journal publications, conference presentations always show that you are capable of doing good research. Next on my list of research experiences is my third year summer internship. So for the summer of 2019, I got into, wait for it, the Max Planck Institute for Dynamics and Self-Organization. I know, it's too long. We're just gonna call it MPIDS. So how I landed that internship is a separate video and I'll make it in the future as well. So the Max Planck Institutes are top ranked world-class research institutes. There are about 85 of them, almost all of them in Germany. And each of them has a very specific area that they do research in. I was working in the dynamics of complex fluids department under my supervisor, let's call him Dr. B, and my project was on granular matter and how its control properties actually change when it's subjected to gyratory motion. So I was working with X-ray tomography machine. Anyway, so after about 2.5 months of experiments and analysis, I finally presented my results at the Max Planck Institute, and that was it. My work was done at the institute, that is, because we still continued the project after I came back from Germany. it's still kind of going on. So basically what we're doing is we're writing up a research paper on the project, and the most important thing to note here is I included this information in my application, in my statement of purpose, so that the selection committee would know that I am still doing some kind of research. And plus, it's always good to involve some kind of journal publication or conference presentation, because it makes you stand out as a candidate. Okay, so now we come to some random projects that I did during my degree. I call them random because these projects are not directly related to my field of interest, the field in which I applied to a PhD. But anyway, it's always good to have some kind of experience to fill up your CV, right? But later, I'll also tell you that how one of these projects actually helped me land the Germany internship. So stay tuned. So I did 2 projects with the robotics club of IIT Kanpur during my undergrad. First of them was in my first year winters. It was in December 2016. It was called Personal Tracker. It was basically a live location tracker, and we made its circuit using an Arduino microcontroller. Doesn't matter if you don't know what it is. It basically sent us coordinates, latitudes and longitudes of wherever the circuit was kept. So the second project I did was in summer of 2017. So basically it was the summer after my first year. The project was called Club Automation, and in this what we did was we used a single board computer, something known as a Raspberry Pi, and we connected it with an Android app that our group only made. So what we were trying to do was we were trying to control home appliances like a fan, a light, anything through this app that we made. So when I applied to the Germany internship, my supervisor over there, Dr. B, told me that he was interested in my application in the first place because he saw that I'd worked with things like Raspberry Pi, Arduino microcontrollers, because my work over there involved some automation using some electronic circuits as well. So basically the point I'm trying to make is you never know what part of your application is gonna get you in. Alright, so now let's talk about my corporate experience and how that affected my grad school application. So after graduation, I took up a job in a finance company. I was working in its IT department. I was working with databases, writing codes in SQL, which was not even remotely related to my graduate school application field, that is complex fluids or even fluid mechanics or even my undergrad degree of mechanical engineering. But as you already know, I still got in. So what I'm trying to say is having a gap between your undergrad degree and applying to graduate school is not necessarily always a bad thing, right? Everyone takes gaps and universities do understand that. You just need to present it in a nice way so that you can add it to your application. So taking a gap when you're doing nothing might be a little hard to explain, but if you're doing any kind of job, any internship, any kind of project, it's no big deal at all. It might even add to your application, if you present it in a nice way and you somehow convince the committee that research was your passion all along. In my case, I explained that all this while I've also been working on a research paper from my Max Planck project alongside of my day job, which I actually took in the first place for some financial reasons. Personally, I took up the job because one, I wanted this paper to get completed so that I could add it to my application. That didn't happen, but that's alright. And secondly, I thought that it'd be good to have some kind of corporate experience before committing myself to at least a minimum of 5 years of grad school. There was some coursework that I did in IIT Kanpur that I felt contributed a lot to my skills and basically made my profile a lot better. So the first course I'm gonna talk about was Advanced Computational Fluid Dynamics. I took this up in my last semester. This course basically only had coding assignments. No midterms, no end terms, no quizzes, nothing at all. So I used 2 languages, Python and Fortran, for the assignments in this course, and I felt that I personally learned a lot. It really contributed to my computational skills. So in one of the assignments, I solved the Navier-Stokes equation computationally, of course. If you know anything about fluid dynamics, you'll definitely know what Navier-Stokes equation is. And in the last assignment, which I felt was quite rigorous, we basically had to read a research paper and implement the algorithm of that paper through our Fortran code. So basically it was like a mini research project in itself, and I really felt that it actually added to my research experience, so I included it in my resume. So the takeaway from this section is, if you feel that something contributes to your application, you should definitely add it in. So in IIT Kanpur we have a student body called the counseling service. Their whole purpose is to basically help the students academically, or provide them emotional support, or provide them any other kind of help that they might need. So in their second year, students can apply to become either a student guide. A student guide is someone who basically helps new students get settled in the campus properly, help them transition to college life properly. Or you can apply to become an academic mentor. An academic mentor is someone who helps new students with their academics, which is mostly their first year courses. So I was an academic mentor for the introductory biology course, which everyone has to take in their first year. So as an AM, I had to take remedial classes, one-on-one doubt clearing sessions, prepare questions for the students for their practice, things like that. So I guess I had some kind of teaching experience. I hope I can call it that. And in a PhD, you're sometimes required to become a teaching assistant. So I added this in my resume. I don't even know if it was really relevant or helpful, but again, the point is, if you feel it helps your application, you should include it in. And finally, if you're talking about things that we should add to our resume, you can add a number of things. Any kind of awards you won, any kind of fellowships you won, you got a nice rank in some national level examination, you participated. Not just participated, maybe you won something in some kind of Olympiad, or any extracurricular activities that you might have taken up in your college. Like, I used to play music, I was a member of the music club. I used to play some sports, a little bit of table tennis, a little bit of basketball. So, I included things like that. You should also definitely include a skills section, to let people know what kind of softwares, what kind of programming languages you're familiar with. So I think that might help as well. But these things are definitely very, very less important as compared to the major things like your research experience or any kind of projects, internships, and things like that. So yeah, that was all for the video. That was basically everything that I included in my application. So if you think that this video helped you in some way, definitely consider subscribing to the channel, because I plan to continue posting on here videos just like that, or any other kind of content as well. So if you liked it, give it a like. Thanks, and see you soon.